Welcome to Season 4 of the Powered by Rock podcast. We'll bring you the best stories in rock music with a focus on highlighting independent rock musicians and their music from all over the world. No, rock music isn't dead. It's getting better and better. It's just time for you to start paying attention again. With that said, let's get this party started.
The mountain's gonna rise and fall by me.
Hello and welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. We're going to be speaking with Ray Carlisle, the sickest punk band around, Teenage Bottlerocket. Teenage Bottlerocket is one of the most well-known post-90s punk bands with 9 full-length albums released since 2003, along with a few EPs, a live album, a handful of splits, and many appearances on compilations over the years, while touring extensively for most of the last 2 decades. They were actually the first live band I saw after COVID came back, and we could actually go out and see stuff again. They're the epitome of punk rock in almost every sense of the word, and I'm excited today to hear more from Ray about what they have coming up with all their tours that are following a brand new EP that was just released entitled So Dumb, and it's also known as So Dumb, So Stoked. On top of all the cool stuff they have accomplished over the years. Hey, Ray, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah. So I want to kind of start here. Like, I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning, but I kind of want to just get this understanding, because I grew up in North Dakota. I had a punk band in North Dakota, and I kind of knew that, like, there was nothing around me. And I'm kind of like, you guys kind of were in that same scenario where there was like, there's not much around you. Like, how did you actually kind of do this? But, it's not often you're hearing a lot of great music coming from Wyoming, and it's pretty much, unheard of that punk music, well, at least before you guys and the Lillingtons and stuff like that, that there was any sort of legacy or premier punk rock bands that came out in that era. But when you first formed Teenage Bottlerocket back in 2000 with your brother Brandon, did you guys have any expectations of where this might go?
We didn't really think about 20 years from now,
Yeah.
I mean, it's 20 years since we started the band. So the expectations were set a lot lower when we started, and we sort of, no, I guess we never expected to be touring 20 years later. So yeah, I mean, it was just like we expected to like maybe make gas money.
Yeah. Did you guys ever think like, hey, we're gonna play with Fat Records and get on their label at some point, or is that something that just was like completely unthinkable at that point?
No, I think that Fat Records had entered the dream for anybody that was in a band, no matter where you were from. And if you were into punk rock music, you knew of Fat Records, and we knew that Mike liked the Lillingtons, so
Yeah.
Especially when Cody joined, there was, the fact that there's the Lillington sticker on the inside of the War on Aerism record. It's not, we didn't overlook that little detail.
Yeah.
So signing to Fat Records is definitely like a goal or a dream, but an expectation. It's weird to say, like, we just did it.
Yeah. And I guess that's what happens when you play a lot of shows, meet a lot of people, play with a lot of bands, and just work your ass off over a couple of decades, right?
Yeah, totally. I don't know. It's hard to like get into what the exact equation is to sign to Fat Records. I don't know, but I do know that the equation for being in a punk band for Teenage Bottlerocket has always been to record, tour, repeat. And, like you mentioned at the beginning, that we did 9 full-length records, and we're definitely working on a 10th, and we're going to continue to tour as much as we can, and which is less than it was back in 2007 or something like around then, whenever we didn't all have kids and we could split for large amounts of time and not have responsibilities at home. But now we try to do more of like 10-day stints where we're touring 10 days out of a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sort of the equation that we put together. It's just like, record, release, tour, repeat.
Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously you guys never seem to run out of material. I mean, that's one thing about your music is most of the time when you release an album, like you still have an EP in between the albums or something else that comes out on a compilation. It's like you guys were constantly releasing new music, regardless of if it was a full-length album or not, right?
Yeah, a lot of that comes from us recording a full-length album that's 16 songs, and we only put 12 on the record, and so we'll
Yeah.
have some leftovers, and that's how we did the split with Broadway Calls, with the 2 songs that weren't used when we recorded Morning Device, and we did the Mutilate Me 7-inch whenever we did. We just had a couple leftovers.
I think that's actually a pretty good piece of advice.
For when we did Freak Out. It's hard to keep track of it. You know, we did Olivia Goes to Bolivia on the going back to Wyo split.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's always been like that. You know, we'll have a couple leftovers, and we should release all that stuff on like one record.
Yeah.
Sort of like Teenage Bottlerocket's Remains by Alkaline Trio. It's like we're overdue for one of those.
Yeah. I think I was just going to say, it's like a pretty good idea for bands who are not experienced at recording, right? So like most bands will go in, they're like, these are the 10, 12 songs we're going to record. These are the 10 or 12 songs that are going to make the record. But most successful bands actually have like 30 or 40 songs that then they'll record like 15 to 20 and then chop that down to an album. So I think for a lot of bands that are, you know, hey, we only got enough money to do 2 weeks in the studio or 2 days in the studio, whatever it is, like practice your ass off at like 15, 16 songs and get a couple extra and then release the album with a certain amount of songs and then use that other stuff for, you know, singles, compilations, EPs, anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. I mean, taking advantage of studio time is kind of clutch for being in a band. I don't know why for some reason my mind just snapped to. One thing that Teenage Bottlerocket does is we start recording vocals as early as we can. We'll get started on drums, but we'll record like main vocal parts to scratch guitar parts, just so we could get started early, like sing 2 songs each a day or something like that, or 1 song a day, because if we're in the studio for like 10 days or something, we'll get started as early as we can. So you're not record all your guitars, record all your bass, record all your drums, and then you do vocals last and you blow out your voice because you only have 2 days left in the studio. And
yeah.
you're supposed to sing 14 songs.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a lot of bands make that mistake. It's just like coming in prep for in the studio consists of knowing how hard you could go at it without blowing your voice out. And also learning that is by blowing your voice out in the studio.
Yeah. I think Roger Waters famously did that for Pink Floyd, and it was like they had to like wait 2 weeks to record with him again because like they went in, paid for all this like expensive like record, studio time. It was like $1 million or something like that, and he had to wait 2 weeks, and he was like, "Oops."
Yeah, it happens more often than you would think.
Yeah,
it really does. And it's just, I mean, you can imagine traveling a long distance to record at the blasting room, and then Bill Stevenson's reproducing your record, and your voice leaves town. Yeah. It's a nightmare, and it's happened to bands live before. It's happened to bands in the studio, and there's tricks to all that stuff. If you're doing a lot of shows, you don't want to sing at 100%. Chill out. Go somewhere around 75 miles an hour.
And I think that's another good piece of advice. I know Mercy Music, they recorded in Blasting Room, and like up 2 weeks to leading to that thing, they were like, we're going to play one show. And it was like they were supposed to play with Dan Andriano from Alkaline Trio. They're supposed to play like a post party or something, a post show party or something like that. And they're like, someone from Dan Andriano's crew got COVID, and they're like, we're not playing the show. Like, we're not going to risk getting COVID and then going to Blasting Room, and then Bill looking at us like we can't do anything. So let me ask you, obviously fans of like Teenage Bottlerocket are going to know that your brother Brandon passed away in 2015, which I can't even fathom. Like my brother was just here for the weekend, and I can't imagine like that ever happening. Like, that's pretty hardcore, and it's just heartbreaking. Right. But he was not only your brother, but I've heard you mention specifically, like he was your best friend, and as twins usually are, they're like inseparable for most of their life. Right. I'm just curious, what were your initial thoughts about continuing with TBR? I've seen your press release and everything like that in the months after his death. And then do you ever feel like you have like to leave a legacy twice the size of your own so that you can have, the legacy of Brandon as well?
I mean, the legacy of Brandon really is just playing hard. And I think the Teenage Bottlerocket tries to keep that mentality alive
Yeah.
with our live show. Chuka certainly goes hard in the paint. And so to keep that spirit alive is something that was gonna happen inevitably. You know, it's not like we were gonna let's tone everything down. You know, Brad inside, let's chill out on the energy on stage, everybody.
Yeah.
I think of it in a way, it's like we want to go out and throw some punches. You know, go out and fucking try to fucking kick its ass. And sometimes you get your ass kicked. Sometimes sometimes you walk away and be happy about what happened. So yeah, keeping brand spirit alive as far as the energy and just it was a hard situation and it's hard to go through, and we all certainly miss Brandon so much, and lots of stories about Brandon in the van. I'm sure Chuka at this point feels like he knows him.
Yeah, because he never met Brandon, I assume, because you guys only met Chuka after the.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I met Chuka before Brandon died.
Okay. I was gonna say, because I don't think I ever heard the story of how you guys actually found him. I just remember saying like we found another brother from Canada, basically. I'm like, yeah, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes. And yeah, he's fucking amazing. And you guys all fucking kill it when you're on stage.
Yeah, I was working in Canada.
Okay.
In Alberta, in this town called Wainwright. And the Riff Randalls were playing in Edmonton. And I took a road trip like 4 hours up the road to watch the Riff Randalls play in Edmonton, it's KJ from Chicks Diggett's wife, Kathy Camaro.
Okay.
And I knew some songs. I had their full length. And the Old Wives opened, and Chuka was badass. And I was just like, there was no hesitation whenever I was thinking of someone to play drums for Bottlerocket. I just like loved the way that Darren was animated for the Old Wives, and
yeah,
asked him to play in the band, and we asked him to fly out. We asked him to fly out because we didn't know, what if he showed up and he was like weird?
Yeah. Just like, hi guys, just
man,
sits in the corner.
Smells like, why does he smell like? Oh, he snores loud. We'd probably put up with that actually.
Can't be any worse than Cody, right?
Fly out to Wyoming. You're in the band. It's like, come and fly out to the Wyoming. We want to see if we vibe with you. Like, we know you can play the drums, but let's see if we could like kind of be in a van together. And then when we were like, let's do it, we were on Warped Tour, and that's like 2 months long, and it was a real. I remember one time I drank so much I threw up in my bunk, and Chuka cleaned it. Like, I was too wasted, like, and like Chuka was like cleaning puke out of my bunk. What a nice guy. What a nice prick.
Little initiation for him.
No, I guess like we really got a chance to become brothers on that tour.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, we lost a brother and gained a brother.
Yeah. Very cool.
Being in a band, it's hard to be in a band with your twin brother because you fight like brothers and you say motherfucker all the time to each other, and everyone's like, Jesus Christ, they're crazy. But also I've heard people compare being in a band to like a marriage, like sort of a relationship like that, and it's that there's a part of that as well that's true. So
yeah.
I know I'm bouncing around this whole, like, the root of this question is how do we keep Brandon's spirit alive or something? But I don't know. We got it done.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's your answer, so that's the only one that matters. So I think another thing that obviously some people might know about you guys is that you guys all kind of have, well, I shouldn't say all of you, but many of the people in the band are in multiple side projects. I know you and Cody are in SAC. Cody also has the Lillingtons that he plays with every so often when they're active. But how do you guys keep Teenage Bottlerocket so seamlessly together while still giving yourselves room to explore other projects and not get overwhelmed or, say, like, well, you're paying too much attention over here or whatever. Like, some bands will get pissed off about that kind of stuff.
It's an interesting question because there's a couple sides to it. I mean, as far as time goes, Bottlerocket is only active when we're on tour and whenever we're in the studio, outside of like recording songs on our own or writing songs on our own. So that is to say, we don't ever practice ever. We sound check at every show, which is like more than 100 shows a year.
Yeah.
So I guess if you want to call that a practice, like, you know, if we want to learn a song, like we just played So Dumb on tour. So that's off the new EP. The song's a couple years old, but we had to relearn it. And we learned it during sound check. So I guess that's practice. But we don't get together to jam. Like Zach jams religiously. I'm driving down to Denver all the time to go and fucking shred with those guys. So it actually takes up a lot more of my like free time because you're like prepped for a Teenage Bottlerocket tour. Like I'm going away for the last 10 days of April. I know it's coming. Zach's practices are a little bit more like, hey, we're getting together tomorrow, and it's rad. But so yeah, the way that we find time with our side projects is just having something that comes up. Like the tour we did with the Huntingtons and the tour we did with Lagwagon, and then like kind of practice our asses off for that before we go out. And then we got home. We were home for 10 days, and Bottlerocket went out with the Queers, and we didn't practice at all for that because Bottlerocket doesn't practice. So,
so is it just a matter of you guys writing the songs and then going into the studio like with everybody kind of knowing the parts already because you sent them like a demo or something?
Totally, yeah. We'll demo a song and we'll send it to the other members, and we'll show up to the studio and they'll have the demo. And sometimes the studio magic will happen where it's like, oh, I never thought that it should go like that. Sometimes it's obvious, like this needs to change to this, and I'll have some ideas of how we're going to break away from the original template of a demo. You know, and then other people in the band will hear something, or, you know, let's try this, and it doesn't work out. So it's not exactly tattooed at the demo stage. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, we definitely do not go to the studio like we don't jam out the songs before we go to the studio. Everybody just goes in the studio when we hack out our parts, and that's how we tattoo them.
And that's the nice thing about modern technology, because that used to never be possible really for like most musicians, right? Because you couldn't record stuff at home that easily and sound good, right? So you
we demoed everything from Total with a camcorder.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So just like videotape that shit.
Then you guys all go home and practice it, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
We didn't get it right. We recorded some songs in the wrong key. We had to move some stuff around. We had to make some moves. But
that's hilarious. Well, let's talk about the new EP, So Dumb. Obviously, it came from 4 songs that you guys recorded for the album Sickest, which came out last year, or was it 2 years ago?
2021. It came out in August of 2021.
Yeah, so it's about a year and a half, 2 years old now. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that these 4 songs might actually be some of my absolute favorite songs of you guys. Is like, I don't know why they didn't make the album, but I'm like, every one of them, I'm like, these are fucking great songs. Like, these are really melodic. They're fast, but they're also like just really well done. So what did you guys decide? Why did you guys not to release these ones? Was it just because it didn't fit, or they had their own kind of fit together, or what was the decision there?
So with all the songs that are on Sickest and the So Stoked, So Dumb EP, it's 16 songs. So we put 12 songs on Sickest, and obviously the dilemma is what songs aren't going to make the record. I will say that Squirrel almost did not make Sickest, and Heart Attack was in place of Squirrel until like the last second. We knew we were going to release these songs on a 7-inch. It's just like, really, when are we going to do that? So it was painful. It was painful to choose these songs that didn't make it because they're all so great. You know, So Stoked's got this positive message that I love, and So Dumb's got this negative message that I love. And Heart Attack's got like one of my favorite outros ever.
Yeah.
So whenever we put together a Teenage Bottlerocket full length, we try to, like, you know, how many songs are about girls? How many songs are about like negative girl songs? Or is it a love song about a girl?
Yeah.
How many non-girl songs do we have? All that kind of stuff comes into play.
So you don't want just like 12 straight love songs?
Yeah, you got to mix in, I want to be a dog. So you got to, and like the squirrel, for instance.
Yeah.
Um, so that all comes into play, and
I think it is easier to kind of have like a smaller
Attack,
theme. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Tech sings more on an EP with more. It gets more attention whenever you release it with 4 songs rather than Heart Attack stuck on the second side of the full length where Squirrel was. I think it could have been overlooked. So I think it's getting some attention that it wouldn't have had released with 11 other songs. So there is that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you can kind of do like a little bit of a theme, like a concept for a single EP too, because like So Dumb, So Sick, like you said, it's kind of like the polar opposites of each other, and because one's on one side and the other one's on the other side, kind of makes for a nice little 7-inch to kind of have like a little theme there. And then
Totally.
The songs do stand out.
Right. Yeah. So cool, so dumb, so stoked.
Yeah.
And you think about that kind of shit too. How's this going to look on the back of a record? I always like when everything's look like that. Like, whoa, these songs are similar.
Yeah.
Like the similar front cover, just like let's ship this, let's make this as primitive as possible. That's sort of the template that we've stuck to. Is like this. So the Ramones came up with this stuff. It's simplistic. It's not supposed to be this amazing, crazy, abstract art. I'm sure I lost my train of thought, but
yeah, I think it was just about like making sure that the art wasn't abstract. You guys have that kind of pretty solid, single color skull and bones kind of thing going for you.
There's like a little more texture, I think, on these songs. There is like church bells and Heart Attack and echoes and try to fucking throw down, dog. Shit.
Just play as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and scream as loud as you can. Let's go.
Everybody all at once. That sounds perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So what I want to do right now is just go ahead and play the song So Dumb and like let people hear it if they haven't heard it, because it's a pretty damn good song. I mean, like literally everybody, the one thing I never get until I actually, buy the record is like who sings the songs, if they even say it on there, but who's actually singing So Dumb? Cause you and Cody sound so similar on so many of the songs that I actually get them switched half the time in my own head. Like who's actually singing the song? So is this your song or is this Cody's song? This is Cody's song, right?
This is a Cody song, but Miguel wrote it.
So that's right.
That's worth noting.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he was writing it about obviously like, social media and the social stuff of everybody hating each other and stuff like that right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right there. It's all right there. It's, like maybe all kind of filtering or funneling into the Be Sweet scenario. And it's just like always easy to become grumpier in our old age, I guess, and a little bit more jaded and hating everything.
Cool.
Like, there's a positive message in here on this song. There's a positive message hidden. Pay attention.
Yeah.
There it is.
Do I have your permission to play this song so that YouTube and Spotify and everybody knows that I have direct permission from the artist to play this song?
Well, I mean, I can't be held financially responsible. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Don't quote me on it, but yes, you have my permission.
Dude, I mean, how else are we going to get on the YouTube? We finally made it. Let's go.
Sounds good. So we'll be back right after this. Here's So Dumb by Teenage Bottlerocket, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
About the suffering of another, there's no need to even bother. I quit. What a waste of time to even try to explain it. What happens to one really happens to us all. Things will get worse before they're better. That's the way it goes in this dumb world. That's the way it goes in this dumb world. It's so fucking dumb.
Welcome back to the Powered by Rock podcast. I'm here with Ray Carlisle from Teenage Bottlerocket. I'm going to ask him some hot seat questions that make him sweat a little bit, maybe cringe, a little baffle him. I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully you got to listen to So Dumb just now and got to rock out. So now you're going to have Ray doing a little bit of sweating here. Ray, are you ready to be put in the spotlight?
Here we are.
All right. You're going to put your own spotlight on yourself. So I know Wyoming isn't technically the Midwest. I grew up in North Dakota, so like we kind of called that the Midwest, even though it's probably not either, but it's not far off in both culture and geography. So I'm going to ask you to name your favorite Midwest punk band of all time. And this can be basically anything north of Texas, from the Rockies to the Appalachians. So no Ramones because they're New York, that's East Coast, but anything in the Midwest. Who's your favorite Midwest punk band?
Let's go with Banner Pilot.
Oh, awesome. They're from Minneapolis, right? Is that where they're from?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great answer. Like I just actually heard about them like 3 years ago. I was like, I'd never heard of them. They're fucking awesome. So that's a great one. I'm gonna have to make sure other people know about that. All right, here's an easy one. Well, let me ask you, is there any reason why do you know those guys? I'm assuming.
Yeah, Bottlerocket toured with Banner Pilot, and they're just awesome, and I wish that they would play more.
Yeah.
Right now I'm going through a major Banner Pilot kick. So yeah. There you go. There's my answer.
Cool. Number 2, here's an easy one. As someone who lives in the general vicinity of Yellowstone National Park, which is a super volcano, if you didn't know, I'm sure you do. How often do you sit and wonder, I hope this bitch isn't going to blow up anytime soon?
Not often. It doesn't really cross my mind. I think my wife trips out on my whole house collapsing. But hey man, when it's your time to go, you don't get to choose.
Yeah, and you're not going to outrun a super volcano explosion.
Well, actually, you do get to choose how. You can.
Yeah, you technically can.
Let's refer to the So Stoked lyrics.
Yeah.
But don't really think about it too much. But I mean, if it was going to take everybody out, it'd be nice to go first.
Yeah. Like we're right here. You guys will know about it right after we're gone.
We gotta see what's going on first. Later, bye.
All right. So, question number 3. I don't know where the band stands on alcohol consumption these days. I think you guys are still drinking. I know that Cody was. The last time I saw you guys play SAC, you guys were definitely drinking. I don't know if everybody in the band drinks because it seems like everybody now is like getting old. Not you guys specifically, but they're all kicking alcohol and becoming vegans. But in your guys' prime, did you ever have those nights where you just had to prove who could handle their alcohol best? If so, was there a specific time you remember being the craziest?
The craziest? Anybody had to prove that they could handle their alcohol the best?
Or even if you guys were just drinking your faces off.
As far as Bottlerocket and memorable nights with alcohol and an individual member, it's definitely not them handling it their best.
That's usually how it goes.
It's the opposite. So, I mean, we proved time and time again who could handle it like the shittiest. And that goes for everybody in the band. I mean, every fucking member has proven how lame they can be on alcohol.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever have, did you?
I probably have the record for proving how fucking lame I could be. But I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank since December of 2020.
Okay.
But there's been plenty of crazy nights with Teenage Bottlerocket and alcohol, and some of them ended up with vomit. Some ended up with blood. There's been blood, which is always a scary scenario.
Did you ever have a time where you don't remember anything? But
one time I was on tour with Volbeats. I drank a bunch of alcohol and I wrecked walking, not skateboarding or something fun. I was walking, fell, and I had to go to the hospital in Switzerland and get stitches on my eyebrow. And they tried to keep me overnight. And I jumped up out of my hospital bed and I escaped when the door opened like Indiana Jones. And we made it to Milan, Italy for our show the next night. We wouldn't have if I didn't escape. And that was a pretty wild one. I mean, I'm sure the whole band was very embarrassed to be like in a band with me. We were on tour with Volbeats and we were playing these huge stadiums, and I had to go and play in front of 16,000 people. in Austria or something the next day after the Milan show with basically looking like Rocky Balboa, man.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
Question.
I'm there. One time Cody pissed in the middle of the hotel room, and we're like, Cody, you're pissing in the hotel room. You're not at the toilet. And he said something along the lines of, that's how we do it in the movies. And he jumped back in bed. And we're like, all right, well, everybody avoid the wet spot.
Yeah, that's sleepwalking right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So I always like to throw in a food question to almost every show. And Wyoming's not necessarily known for their cuisine by any means necessarily, but it's actually home to one of my all-time favorite fast food restaurants, which is Taco John's. So are you a Taco John's fan? And if so, what is your favorite menu item, knowing that there's only one right answer here?
Okay, well, I mean, I will tell you that I definitely know more about Taco John's than you do because I worked there for about 5 years.
That's
the
awesome.
best menu item is definitely the Sierra chicken sandwich. It's not around anymore. But what's your right answer?
Potato Olays, man, they're the best.
Okay, potato Olays. Yeah, dude, I'm not much of a fry guy. I'll tell you that much. I'm not much of a fry guy.
I love everything on the menu, but the reason why I'm addicted to it, and every time I see one, I'm like, I'll even drive like out of the way anytime there's anyone in a city near me. I'll be like, I'm going to fucking Taco John's for some potato Olays. I'll eat whatever else, I don't care, but as long as I get potato Olays.
My friend made me steal him a bag of potato Olay seasoning, and I warned him like too much of a good thing is a bad thing. But I think he was so stoked. It's like the Olay seasoning. Yeah.
Did he become addicted and now he's like homeless or something?
There's a Taco John's in my town. I don't go to it anymore. But if they brought back the Sierra chicken sandwich, which they do sometimes, I would fully go. Fully go. In fact, I make my own Sierra chicken sandwiches at home.
Well, it helps if you used to work there. You kind of know the secret.
I do, man. They have this Parmesan peppercorn dressing you mix with guacamole. 50-50, man. Half guac, half Parmesan peppercorn.
Wow.
You can't really find Parmesan peppercorn dressing. It was like a Cisco item. And then Taco John started making it with like creamy Italian dressing, way more twangy. It wasn't the same. The old Sierra sauce with the guacamole and the Parmesan peppercorn is what made the Sierra chicken sandwich. And I do it at my house, and it's not very healthy.
So here's the chicken. That's totally healthy, but let's go ahead and make it not healthy.
Yeah, it's basically a chalupa. Deep fried pita shell is what it is.
Sounds good to me. I'd eat it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fried gordita. It's a gordita dropped in the deep fryer.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Question number 5 in the hot seat. What 4 musicians would you put on your personal Mount Rushmore of musicians, either for being the most influential or just your favorites? 4 individual musicians that go as like, they don't have to all form a band. It could just be, 2 drummers, 3 drummers, 4
Here's
singers,
my favorite
whatever.
songwriters fucking ever.
Yeah.
Joey Ramone, Cody.
It's like, I only know 2 musicians. Let's go on to the next question.
Travis Barker will play drums.
Okay. All right.
Write songs. Who's my 4th member, Warman? Bring Dietz along? No, man. He likes the Grateful Dead. My kid listens to the Grateful Dead now. I'm losing him. I don't know where he's going. Kids become defiant, and then they do what, like, I guess he could become a country artist or something. But I think Milo's more of like a fish rapper now. He like Widespread Panic meets rap.
Interesting. It's like, we make 2-minute punk songs and you go out and make 9-minute jam songs.
Weird Al on there. Let's get Weird Al on my Mount Rushmore.
That's awesome.
Joey Cape. Yeah, Joey Ramone, Cody,
yeah,
Travis Barker, and Weird Al. There they are.
That's a great one.
It is.
For all different reasons, but that's awesome.
Yeah, let's see what you guys come up with. Some sort of parody. Parody ever. It's a
Yeah.
song about Taco John's. Like, just that fucking Weird Al make write us the best song ever about Taco John's.
Yeah, that, and it'll be like set to like I don't know, some Ramon song that could fit Taco John's with the
It sounds
melody.
sort of Bobby Ramone-ish.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's it. The spotlight's off. I don't see sweating, so that's a good thing. But we will be back in just a few moments to wrap things up and see what Ray has coming up in his future with Teenage Bottlerocket and any other projects as well. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Reverend Guitars embodies the idea that every run of scorching lead and every roll of finger-picked twang deserve the same passion and commitment to quality. Whether you're selling out arenas or playing in your living room, we know that what makes an instrument powerful is when players wield them to create something remarkable. A melody that moves mountains, a riff that just won't quit. We want to be there in your hands when that happens. For us, that means staying true to what we believe. Somewhere along the road of electric guitar history, it became a crazy idea that guitar makers should craft guitars with the same sense of purpose and passion, whether they're played in a bedroom or an arena. If that's a wild idea, then we're in the right place, carrying 6 strings and an attitude, and we're in good company. Reverend Guitars. Well played.
Running your own music career is incredibly difficult. Trying to get people to like, share, comment, listen, follow, it's all just overwhelming. Most musicians give up before they ever achieve success, and that's the worst. If you're looking for a better way to grow your music career, head to DIYrockcareer.com for some absolutely free training. It costs you nothing, and it could be the difference between hitting your goals and quitting your dream. Go to DIYrockcareer.com today by clicking the link below this episode.
Then I lost my way.
Welcome back to the Powered by Rock podcast. I'm here with Ray Carlisle of Teenage Bottlerocket, Sack, and I don't know, probably 10 other punk bands that I don't know about yet that he's working on for future stuff. But let's talk about what you guys have coming up, because I know you're busy. I actually talked to you, Christian, the guy that, reached out to me. I think he's your guys' manager or press release or press publicist or something like that. But he's like, yeah, they're touring pretty much the entire year. So right now is the best time. So let everybody know what you guys have coming up.
Well, yeah, like I said earlier, we try to chew off like 10 days a month, and sometimes that turns into 15, sometimes it turns into 20, but yeah, we're doing a bunch of stuff in Germany. We're doing the next 2 shows are in England with The Offspring and Bowling for Soup. And then we're going on tour for 10 days with the Queers in Canada, and then 10 more days at the end of June with the Queers in Canada. And some American dates like Tacoma, Washington, and Fargo and Minneapolis are on those Queer shows as well.
Maybe you should get Banner Pilot to come hang out for that show then.
Yeah, dudes, come out. That's I've always admired Nate Gangelhouse bass tone, and I was listening to Sack Ripper yesterday because we had Sack practice last night. And the bass tone on Ripper reminds me of Banner Pilot bass tone. It's nice. Cool. Anyway, like get your bass tone sounding great, and then add gain just a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go. Now your bass should sound good. But yeah, we're going everywhere. We're going to Hawaii, so let's go surfing.
And that's never an easy trip. I mean, it's one state, right? That's so far out of the way that almost nobody ever goes there. So you have to make sure that you go there for the right reason. It's got to be for something.
We played 49 states. We haven't played Alaska. So this will be our second time in Hawaii.
Nice.
We're real lucky. You go there and you're lucky to be in Hawaii playing music. Dude, it's rad.
I bet. I've been to Hawaii twice. I love it, but no one's ever been clamoring to see me play guitar in front of people yet. So let's talk about obviously the new music. Cause I think you've kind of mentioned it earlier, but I also have heard that you guys are actually going to be recording the new music soon, like later this year, or the end of this year, or something like that.
Well, Bottlerocket's recording demos right now. There's definitely hard at work on a new record, but we also haven't booked studio time. That's what's really coming into fruition is whenever Miguel makes the call and we have studio time booked.
Gotcha.
How we go about recording this next record will be interesting. You know, I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, and the blasting room's right up the street, and we've recorded 8 or 9 records there. It'd be an obvious, let's go back, but we're also going to go in with different things in mind, with guitar tone and with human error. You know, we always loved having produced records, but we also want to have feedback and pulled chords, like, I don't know, fucking, dare I say it, vocals that are out of tune a little bit. Jesus Christ.
It's like, I don't think I sing that right, but it doesn't matter.
And all of us do. And the raw element, I've always been a big fan of the guitar tone on Freak Out.
Yeah.
Chasing that down. Been chasing down the Freak Out feeling. Like when Headbanger comes in, it punches me in the face, and I fucking love that.
I was gonna say, I always feel like it's one of those things, like when you first record, there's like one song, or you know, maybe even just that whole album, when you first ever record, you're like, there's something about that's really cool. And then, you know, a lot of bands do it. Their first album has like this unique tone, and then they go out and spend more money to get, you know, better production. And it's like, yeah, but there was something about that tone that you had, you know, on your first album or even on your second album that has kind of diminished or is just not there anymore, that it almost is like, oh man, if you could combine the production and keep that tone, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, totally, dude. I mean, you could take a picture of the console and turn every single knob and use the exact same preamp, the exact same mic, in the exact same room with the exact same bass, with the exact same amp, and it doesn't duplicate your bass tone from whatever record you're talking about. I mean, it's just like people do it constantly. It happens more often than you would think. You get lucky sometimes whenever you're recording these records. We're fortunate enough where the blasting room actually holds on to our hard drives, and we could look up exactly what amps we were using and exactly what microphones we were using on those guitar amps for Freak Out.
Nice.
And you could get close to it, but you're not going to be able to duplicate it exactly.
Yeah.
Which isn't exactly what we're trying to do anyway. Like the goal is always, like, as far as production goes, is to make it sound better. You know, like, let's make it sound like, if your goal is to, like, let's copy this guitar tone on Freak Out, but then let's also make it better. Yeah. You know, so like, let's not be content with just, oh, it sounds exactly like that.
Yeah.
So everything's got to kind of move forward. And there was a Hard Times article that's just like, Teenage Bottlerocket reportedly working on their second song. And there's some truth in that, because we have, whenever you have a Teenage Bottlerocket record come out, you could expect a certain Teenage Bottlerocket element that's just like, they all are like this. But there's always added production, and there's always the weird songs that we're definitely going to have on this next record, and maybe even more so. Yeah. Because, you know, I want to experiment more. We're going to experiment more on this next record. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a Teenage Bottlerocket record, and we'll see, man. I mean, right now we're in the creative part. So I'm happy with the demos. I showed the Broadway Calls guys the demos the other day, and they were losing their minds. Miguel's singing a song.
Nice.
Say that.
Nice.
So that'll be new. Miguel's singing lead vocals on a song. Don't fuck it up, Miguel.
I was going to say, there's a little bit of everybody here that probably wants to say, well, fuck Hard Times. But then at the same time, like, well, if they got you guys to kind of think maybe a little bit different or get pissed off about something and change something, and it works to be fucking awesome.
No, we're going to give them any of the credit at all. No, it's not. It's not because Hard Times made fun of us. No, it's because we're 45 years old and we're finally thinking outside the box. No.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's going to be plenty of 3-chord elements in Teenage Bottlerocket stuff on the new record. Of course, it's going to be a Teenage Bottlerocket record at the end of the day, but we've always been known to fuck around, and we're going to certainly fuck around.
Nice. Very cool. The only other question I have for you, Ray, is before we sign off, can you, give a shout out or recommend a new piece of music, a new band, something like that you would recommend that maybe people haven't heard before, or that people should check out?
Yeah, for sure. There's a band, the Brecheros from Denver, Colorado. They're my homies that are in SAC. And there's also Flight Kamikaze from Denver. They're my homies. Okay. The Shivers in Casper, Wyoming. The Shock Troopers in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Split Tank in Fort Collins, the Nobodies in Colorado Springs.
Just look at our flyers, man.
There's some bands that I'm friends with that I would recommend anybody to listen to.
Awesome.
Fuck yeah, bros.
Well, that's all I got. I want to thank you so much for being here today, Ray. It's awesome always having a conversation with you because you just don't give a fuck, and that's what I like about you guys. So make sure to go to the show notes below to check out the new music. Follow these guys on social media. You'll see anything and everything from these guys, and hopefully, if they come to a place near you, go check out their live show because they're awesome. And remember, the Powered by Rock podcast.
Go buy a shirt.
Yeah, go buy a shirt, go buy a vinyl, buy the EP, all that shit, right?
Let's get on Instagram together. I'll sign your record.
There you go.
Just don't borrow Sharpie from our merch girl. She doesn't appreciate it. Bring your own Sharpie.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't steal the band's Sharpie because then the next person's gonna be fucked. So yeah. All right. And then just remember, guys, the Powered by Rock podcast is powered by our listeners. To show some support, please be sure to subscribe and share the podcast on social media. You can also click below to make a donation if you feel free. Go ahead, do that so we can keep making some awesome episodes with awesome guests like Ray here. You can see the full video interview on our YouTube and Spotify now as well. If you want to check out some of our awesome content or merch and gear, head to poweredbyrock.com to see what's good there. That's our show for today. I'll see you soon for the next episode. Until then, rock on.
Supposed to be